Hello again, YouTube. It's me, I'm back with yet another UFC review. This time it is Demetrious Johnson vs Dodson Part D. Yes, their second fight after their first one, I believe in 2013. It was a very exciting fight, very close. Johnson won by split decision. And, as is the rule, I will review the fight as it is the main event, but I always review all of the other ones. From the ones I've watched, anyway. Because there's always like some that are on the Fight Pass that I don't have, so I'm just going to review the ones I got to see. So let's get on with it and start off with the first event of the prelim card, Thiago Trator vs Clay Collard. First time I'd seen either of these two fight. Collard did very much impress me, and I think he should have won. He lost by split decision by the end of it. Sorry for my slight slurring there, I don't know why that happened. But yeah, it was a very close fight in my opinion. I think Collard narrowly had it, but I have to respect Thiago's defensive abilities because Clay was throwing some very flashy, heavy stuff, and I got very good respect to Trator. Collard won, but whatever. I'm not a judge. Next we move on to and I should probably mention a lot of this is possible like rematches and stuff. This card is a very good card. Speaking of rematches, we move on to Raquel Rocky Pennington against Jessica Andrade. The first fight, I don't remember when that was, and I've never actually seen it, but Andrade won by split decision, from what I remember hearing. I keep saying decision. Enunciate. Alright. But yeah, she won by split decision last time, and that was not the case this time, as Rocky Pennington took the win near the end of round 2 with a very well done rear naked choke. The way she managed to like sort of spin around as Andrade was getting up and get the choke in. It's very well done in my opinion. Looking forward to seeing Rocky fight again because she's one of the most underrated female fighters. I think she is in my opinion. Speaking of underrated, John Lineker moving up to the bantamweight division for the first time I think in a while. He normally fights at flyweight, but the trouble is because he's one of the more powerful guys there. And the trouble with powerful guys is they generally put on a lot more weight and they have to cut down a lot, so they come in overweight quite a bit. He looked really good. He came in on the exact weight, I believe, and for another very underrated fighter, Francisco Rivera, Lineker won about 2 minutes into the round, but hell of a fight it was. They were swinging to take each other's heads off. It was a very brilliant fight. I enjoyed it. Lineker won by really well done guillotine choke, and it was a good fight. Speaking of good fights, Ross Pearson, one of the Brits, there needs to be more of them I think in the UFC, beat Paul Felder by split decision. This was a very good fight, very good way to close out the prelim card in my opinion. And by the way, Thiago Trator vs Clay Collard, very good way to start the card. Good way to start, good way to end, all in all, for the prelims. And I'm glad Ross Pearson took another win home for us British people. Yay! The main and first fight is a women's strawweight bout between Paige Van Zandt and Alex Chambers. And this is the first time I've seen either of these two fight. I've heard more about Van Zandt, and she won in the third round with a really well done arm. It was Ronda Rousey-esque how good the armbar was. And even beforehand, she was decimating Alex Chambers on the feet. Very good boxing, very well done. Landing her shots well, landing some good takedowns too. It was really only a matter of time before she got the finish, and I'm glad she did. So well done to her, looking forward to seeing her fight more. Next up we move on to one of my favourite sort of more recent fighters, Corey Anderson. Now apparently he was on a season of The Ultimate Fighter. Sorry, Evanich. I did not watch that season, but I've seen him fight, and he is really awesome. I like him, and he's got one of the best nicknames I've ever heard in the UFC. Beast in 25/8. How? You have to be really awesome to get that nickname, and Corey is. And he proved it by defeating Jan Blachowicz. Okay, it was a unanimous decision, but it wasn't a boring one. Corey showcased his amazing wrestling skills, held down Blachowicz, and wasn't just like holding him down and becoming a blanket. He was landing elbows and punches. He was doing everything to try and finish it. He just couldn't, unfortunately. And I think he could have at certain points, but Black is very good defensive round. Shame he lost, because he's another one I quite like as well. Next up, we move on to Anthony Johnson versus Jimmy Manuwa. And Jimmy Manuwa is more or less one of ours, so it's a shame that he lost this one. It was a very decisive first round for Anthony Johnson. I mean, he landed some great shots, then he took down Manuwa, held him down really well, managed to get some good shots in. Even went for a submission attempt, which is something we rarely see from Anthony Johnson. But, he did a good job. And then 28 seconds into the second round, Anthony Johnson just lands a wallop of a right hand and knocks Manuwa out cold. Wow. I am so glad that Anthony Rumble Johnson came back to the UFC. Like, I know it was 3 years ago, he's been here for a while since then, but the dude, his power has gotten insanely better. As has his precision since he decided to stay light heavyweight. Because for some people who might not know, he was a welterweight and he was one of the big guys. And welterweight weight limit is 170 pounds, and Anthony used to walk around at 220, more than that. He would put on tons of weight, then cut it all down. He would frequently dehydrate himself and come in overweight, and it was not a good idea for him. So then he had like one middleweight attempt against Vitor Belfort, which didn't go well for him. Then he was like, screw it, I'm staying at light heavyweight, because, well, he made the right choice, I think. He's definitely the best of that weight. I'm looking forward to seeing him maybe challenge for the title again. Next up, we move to the co-main event of the evening, Andrei Arlovski against Frank Mir. Two absolute legends in the UFC. Two who've made a big sort of comeback in a way. Andrei Arlovski was in the UFC for a while, kept losing, and I believe that's why he was asked to leave. I don't know if he was asked to leave, I don't know the full story, I never do. So, then he fought in some other organisations, started kicking some serious ass, came back to the UFC and started kicking some serious ass once more. Frank Mir is one of the best submission artists ever, and easily the best submission artist in the heavyweight division. I mean, he's broken limbs, he's choked people like Pold. His jiu-jitsu is dangerous. And recently his boxing has gotten brilliant. I mean, if you saw his last fight against Todd Duffy, you'd know how much power Frank Mir has now, and how much more confident his striking he is. It wasn't enough to beat Andrei Arlovski, who won by unanimous decision. It would help if Frank Mir didn't do so much dancing about, because he did like taunt Andrei into hitting him, which didn't work out too well for him. Not because Andrei hit him, because he didn't, but because Andrei was just sort of like, give over. Yeah, it was kind of the same thing with. By the way, it was kind of the same thing with Clay Collard, the first fight in the prelim card. He did do a bit of mucking about, for my liking. Still a good fight though, as was the one between Arlovski. Yeah. And now, we move on to the main event of the evening. 5 rounds in the UFC's flyweight division. John Dodson against Mighty Mouse Johnson. Highly anticipated rematch. I was personally looking forward to it. It did live up to the hype. Not as good as the first fight, but still brilliant. And Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson won. And personally, I believe he's the most underrated champion in the UFC. He's forever improving. He's a very young champion, for one thing. Well, for a second thing, technically, because I already said he was improving. And he just showed how much he is improving. I mean, John Dodson has some of the best knockout power in the flyweight division and some dangerous speed. But Demetrious Johnson was faster than him. He out-wrestled him. Barely, actually. John Dodson did a great job of defending Mighty Mouse's takedowns. It was very, very well done from him. But, Johnson did get some good takedowns in, but the big story was definitely his right hand. He could just zipped in with that, landing it over and over again on Dodson's chin. Didn't knock him out, won by unanimous decision, but he landed that move like it was nobody's business, and Dodson could not counter it at all. So it's obviously won, but one thing that confused me about the fight was when John Dodson also raised his hands at the end. How he could have seen himself winning, there was no choice, because he got busted up by several punching combos. His face was pretty badly messed up by the end of it, and he still had his arms raised. Completely fine afterwards. So it's obviously he deserves the win, and it's obviously he deserves his title. I think he's doing a very good job of defending it. I hope he stays flyweight champion for a long time. I like him. He's a good champion. He's a good person. He's a nice guy. I like nice guys in the UFC, like Johnny Hendricks. I like him. He's a nice guy who can knock you out with one mean freaking left hand. And looking forward to seeing him fight again soon. Anyway, enough of that. All in all, I thought this event was a very good one. I specifically enjoyed the rematch, even though it wasn't as good as the first one between Mighty Mouse and Dodson. Good event. Looking forward to the next one. I believe Roy Nelson and Josh Barnett are taking the main stage for that. That'll be a good one. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did like it, leave a like. Even if you didn't dislike it, I don't care. Leave a comment, subscribe if you would be so kind as to, because I'm actually enjoying doing these UFC reviews now. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.